This is the moment of awakening for God's chosen one, is a divine call that cannot be ignored. You have not arrived here by chance. Every experience, every struggle, and every lesson has led you to this exact point in time. God has been guiding you, preparing you, and positioning you for something far greater than you can imagine. Now, the moment has come to step into that calling with unwavering faith. There is no more time to hesitate. The final step is here, and it requires boldness. The world may tell you to wait, to be cautious, to seek more confirmation, but God is telling you to move. The universe is aligned in your favor, the door is open, and the only thing standing between you and your divine destiny is action. You were set apart for a reason. You are not meant to live in fear or doubt. The time for questioning is over. This is your moment to rise, to claim your purpose, and to step into the fullness of who God created you to be. No matter the cost, no matter the challenge, this is the moment to act. Will you answer the call? If you feel deep within that you are one of God's chosen ones and you're ready to rise higher no matter the cost, type 777 in the comments. Your time is now. Step into it. The transformation you have been waiting for is on the other side of action. For God's chosen ones, change does not come through wishful thinking, it comes through movement, obedience, and faith in His divine timing. This next step will not be easy, but it is necessary. Everything you have endured has prepared you for this moment, and now it is time to walk boldly into what God has ordained for you. You are ready, even if you don't feel like it. Too many people wait for the perfect moment, but the truth is, there is no perfect moment, only the decision to move forward. The enemy will try to convince you to delay, to hesitate, to wait for more clarity. But clarity comes through action, not before it. When you move, God moves. When you step out in faith, He aligns the path before you. This is your divine confirmation. No more waiting, no more doubting. If you truly believe you are chosen, show your commitment through action. Start small if needed, but start now. Take that step, speak that declaration, and let the spiritual realm know you are ready. Your breakthrough is waiting, but it will only come when you act. Everything in your life has led you to this moment. Every challenge, every setback, and every trial has been a part of God's divine preparation. Nothing you have endured has been wasted. The moments of pain, the seasons of waiting, the disappointments that made you question your path of it, was shaping you into the person you were always meant to be. God does not call the unprepared. He refines those He chooses. And you, as one of His chosen ones, have been going through a process that was never meant to break you, but to build you. Look back on your life. The doors that closed were not rejection, they were redirection. The people who walked away did not leave you abandoned, they made space for something greater. God has been orchestrating everything in your favor, even when it didn't feel like it. The setbacks were lessons, the failures were training. The waiting was strengthening you for the level He is calling you to step into now. And now, the moment has come to move forward. But here's the truth. Success, fulfillment, and purpose do not simply fall into your hands. Even though God has aligned everything to work for your good, He will not move for you. You must move first. He has given you everything you need, the wisdom, the resilience, the vision. But the next step requires your obedience. The Bible is filled with people who had to step forward before God revealed His full plan. Moses had to lift his staff before the Red Sea parted. Joshua had to march before the walls of Jericho fell. Peter had to step out of the boat before he could walk on water. The breakthrough did not happen until they moved in faith. The same is true for you. What if everything you've been through has been leading to this moment? What if the very things you thought were setbacks were actually setups for your elevation? What if the struggle was simply preparation for the blessings ahead? You have already endured the hardest parts. Why stop now? The truth is, you are not waiting on God. He is waiting on you. He has positioned you, strengthened you, and made the way clear. The only thing left is your decision. Will you stay where you are, trapped in hesitation, or will you take the bold step forward into your destiny? This is your moment to claim what has already been prepared for you. Do not allow fear or doubt to hold you back from what is rightfully yours. Everything has been leading to this. Now is the time to step into it. Fear is not your enemy, it is the final test before breakthrough. For God's chosen ones, fear is often the clearest sign that they are standing at the edge of something extraordinary. The enemy does not attack those who pose no threat. If you are feeling resistance, if fear is creeping into your mind, it is because you are stepping into something great. The enemy wants you to hesitate, to doubt yourself, to second-guess what God has already confirmed in your spirit. But fear is only an illusion. It has no real power unless you surrender to it. Think of the moments in Scripture where fear stood in the way of destiny. Moses was afraid to speak, yet God used him to lead an entire nation to freedom. Gideon doubted his own strength, yet God called him a mighty warrior before he ever fought a battle. Peter was terrified to step out of the boat, yet the moment he moved, he did what seemed impossible. He walked on water. Fear did not disqualify them. What mattered was their decision to move despite it. And now you are in the same position. Will you allow fear to paralyze you, or will you step forward knowing that God has already made the way? Fear often disguises itself as logic. It tells you to wait for the perfect time, for more clarity, for a sign that removes all doubt. But there is no perfect time. If you wait for fear to disappear, you will never move. The chosen ones understand this. They do not act because they are fearless. They act because they trust God more than they fear the unknown. They know that waiting only delays the breakthrough that is already prepared for them. God is waiting for your action, not your excuses. You have already overcome battles that once seemed impossible. You have survived storms that should have broken you. Fear told you back then that you wouldn't make it, yet here you are. You did not come this far to stop now. The same God who carried you before will carry you now, but He requires you to take the first step. What if the fear you feel right now is not a warning to stop, but a confirmation that you are exactly where you need to be? What if fear is the doorway to your greatest blessing? The enemy wants you to turn back, but God is calling you forward. You already have everything you need. The only thing left is your decision. Will you let fear dictate your future, or will you step forward in faith, knowing that the greatest moments of your life are waiting on the other side of this final test? Every great journey begins with a single step, and for God's chosen ones, that step is not just about moving forward, it is about stepping into divine alignment. Hesitation is the enemy of purpose. Every second spent waiting is a second where you could have been fulfilling the mission God has placed upon your life. The longer you wait, the more opportunities slip through your hands. What you do today will shape the future that awaits you. Think for a moment, where could you be a month from now if you took action today? How much progress could you make in a year if you stopped doubting and started moving? 5 years from now, will you look back and celebrate your boldness, or will you regret the time you lost? The decisions you make today determine the future you will walk into. Waiting does not bring clarity, only action does. Look at the examples in Scripture. Noah did not wait for confirmation before he built the ark. He obeyed God's command and acted. Joshua did not wait for the walls of Jericho to fall. He marched in faith before anything happened. David did not wait until he was older, stronger, or more experienced. He stepped forward to face Goliath with what he had. Each of these men knew a powerful truth: God moves when you move. Many of God's chosen ones spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for more resources, waiting for everything to make sense. But the truth is, the perfect time will never come. The enemy uses hesitation as a tool to keep you stagnant. He wants you to believe that you are not ready, that you are not strong enough, that you need more confirmation. But God has already spoken. He has already equipped you. The only thing left is for you to trust Him and take the step He is calling you to take. When you act in faith, you shift the atmosphere around you. God honors movement. When He sees you stepping forward, He opens doors that no one can shut. He aligns people, opportunities, and resources to meet you on the path. But none of that happens if you remain still. Your potential will remain untapped, your calling will stay dormant, and your destiny will be delayed unless you decide to take action. This is your moment. Your future is not waiting for you, it is responding to you. The life you desire, the purpose you long for, the blessings you have prayed for are all on the other side of your obedience. Will you seize the opportunity, or will you let another day pass in hesitation? Success, prosperity, and fulfillment do not come to those who wait, they come to those who step forward in faith. For God's chosen ones, passivity is not an option. The world is not designed to hand you opportunities. You must claim them through action, persistence, and trust in God's divine timing. Every great leader, every person who has transformed history, every individual who has walked in divine purpose, they all made a decision to move, even when the path was unclear. Look at the examples throughout Scripture. Abraham left everything familiar behind, trusting that God would lead him to a land of promise. Joseph endured betrayal and imprisonment, yet his faith never wavered. He remained diligent, and God elevated him to a position of great influence. Even Jesus, our ultimate example, did not wait for the world to be ready. He stepped into his purpose at the appointed time, moving with unwavering obedience to the Father's plan. The pattern is clear. Success is given to those who step out boldly. Many people sit and wait for a sign, for a perfect moment, for absolute certainty before they act. But the chosen ones understand that success requires faith, not guarantees. When God calls you, He does not show you the entire road. He only asks you to take the next step. He wants you to move before the opportunity fully reveals itself, because faith activates the blessings that have already been set aside for you. Waiting for success to come to you is a deception. It is the mindset of those who do not understand their divine authority. You were created to lead, to build, to expand, to influence. But none of that can happen if you refuse to move. God has placed something powerful inside of you, but it will remain dormant until you act. No one becomes great by staying in their comfort zone. The leaders of the world, the visionaries, the change makers, the revolutionaries are the ones who dared to step into the unknown, knowing that God would sustain them. The moment you decide to take action, you shift everything in the spiritual realm. The universe aligns, opportunities begin to open, and divine connections are placed in your path. God does not ask you to have everything figured out. He only asks that you trust Him enough to begin. You may not see the entire road, but as you walk, the way will be revealed. Everything you have been waiting for is already in motion. Will you have the courage to step into it? Regret is a price too heavy to bear, yet it is the cost many pay for their hesitation. For God's chosen ones, the pain of inaction is far greater than the fear of failure. Fear may whisper that you are not ready, that the risk is too great, that another opportunity will come. But what if it doesn't? What if the door that stands open before you now is the only one of its kind? Too many people live trapped in cycles of regret, looking back at the moments when they could have stepped forward but didn't. They recall the opportunities that slipped away, the divine appointments they ignored, and the paths they were meant to take but hesitated too long to follow. But what separates the chosen from the rest is the decision to move, to act in faith rather than be paralyzed by doubt. They do not wait for a perfect moment, they create it. Scripture is full of people who missed their divine moment because they were not ready to move when God called. The Israelites stood at the edge of the promised land, but their fear held them back, and they wandered for 40 years. The rich young ruler had the opportunity to follow Jesus, but he walked away in sorrow because he could not let go of his earthly security. These were not people without calling or potential. They simply allowed hesitation to rob them of their destiny. Do not make the same mistake. The truth is, opportunity is fleeting. The moment you are in right now will never come again. If you do not seize it, someone else will. The blessings God has for you are meant for you, but if you refuse to move, they will pass to another who is willing. God's will always prevails, but whether you walk in it is your choice. Look at everything you have been through. Every battle, every hardship, every closed door, it has all been preparing you for this exact moment. Nothing you have experienced was in vain. God has been refining you, equipping you, and strengthening you for this step. You are not here by accident. This is not a coincidence. This is your destiny calling. There will never be a time when fear completely disappears. There will never be a time when everything feels perfectly aligned. But one thing is certain: if you do nothing, you will one day look back and wonder what could have been. Do not let your future self carry the weight of regret. God has set this moment before you for a reason. Will you take hold of it before it passes? Success is not a distant dream reserved for a select few. It is already within your reach, waiting for you to claim it. For God's chosen ones, success is not about luck, nor is it about waiting for the perfect opportunity. It is about stepping forward in faith, taking bold action, and allowing God's abundance to flow freely into your life. The blessings, the wealth, the love, the fulfillment you seek, they are not locked away from you. They have already been prepared for you, but you must take the necessary steps to receive them. Too many people believe that success is something that happens to others, that only certain individuals are destined for greatness, while the rest must settle for less. But if God has called you, if He has set you apart, then you are already positioned for extraordinary things. You were not chosen to live in mediocrity. You were chosen to walk in purpose, to carry His power, and to manifest His divine plan in your life. But the key to unlocking this success is obedience to His word, to His timing, and to the vision He has placed within you. Consider the great figures in the Bible. Abraham was promised generations of descendants, but he had to leave his homeland and step into the unknown to receive that blessing. Joseph was given a dream of leadership, but he had to endure betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment before stepping into the palace. David was anointed as king, but he first had to fight battles, face giants, and remain faithful in the wilderness. None of these individuals were simply handed success. They had to act. They had to trust. They had to walk in faith, even when they could not see the full picture. The same applies to you. You cannot expect God to pour blessings into your life if you are unwilling to position yourself to receive them. The chosen understand this. They do not sit idly, waiting for something to happen. They move with expectation. When you begin to act as if success is inevitable, as if you are already walking in the promises of God, then the doors that seemed locked will begin to open. Opportunities will arise, divine connections will appear, and resources will align because you are moving in faith, and faith activates the power of the unseen. But you must be willing to release the limiting beliefs that keep you stagnant. Many people pray for abundance but secretly doubt they are worthy of it. They believe that wealth, joy, and success belong to others, but not to them. This mindset must be broken. God does not place dreams in your heart to tease you. He places them there because they are meant to be fulfilled. He does not call you to greatness, only to leave you empty-handed. But you must believe that you are worthy of receiving what He has already prepared for you. Imagine standing in front of an overflowing river, filled with everything you have been praying for: financial provision, spiritual fulfillment, meaningful relationships, and opportunities beyond your imagination. The river is not dry, it is not empty. It is full and waiting to pour into your life. But if you never step forward, if you never extend your hands to receive, then you will remain where you are, watching the blessings pass you by. This is why action is necessary. Faith without works is dead. Prayer without movement leads to stagnation. You must move, you must believe, and you must step into the flow of God's divine abundance. Everything you desire is closer than you think. The success you seek is not hidden from you, it is waiting for you. But the question is, will you reach for it? Will you allow yourself to step into the fullness of God's plan? Will you trust that He has already aligned everything in your favor, and all that remains is your willingness to move? The choice has always been yours. Now is the time to act. You are not ordinary, you are chosen. God's hand has been upon your life from the very beginning, setting you apart for a purpose greater than yourself. The struggles you have faced, the battles you have fought, and the hardships you have endured were not meaningless. They were all part of your preparation. Every test, every moment of pain, and every trial was refining you, shaping you into the person God created you to be. The calling on your life is not small. You were never meant to blend in with the crowd, to live an ordinary existence, or to walk a path of complacency. The reason you have faced more resistance, more challenges, and more obstacles than most is because your destiny is greater than most. The enemy does not attack what is not a threat. If you have been feeling isolated, misunderstood, or like you do not fit in with the world around you, it is because you were not created to fit in, you were created to stand out. Think of the great men and women in the Bible. None of them had an easy journey. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and imprisoned before stepping into his calling as a ruler. Moses was exiled for 40 years before he became the deliverer of Israel. Esther had to risk her life before she could fulfill her purpose. David was hunted by King Saul, living as a fugitive before he could sit on the throne. Being chosen by God does not mean an easy road. It means a road filled with tests that prepare you for divine elevation. And now you stand at a moment where everything you have been through is aligning for something greater. You have been searching for a sign, waiting for confirmation, wondering when the right moment will come. But here is the truth. This is your sign. The fact that you feel this message deep in your spirit, the fact that you have been drawn to this very moment, is proof that God is speaking to you. He has already placed everything you need inside of you: the wisdom, the strength, the resilience, the courage. You are not waiting for God to call you. He already has. The real question is, will you answer? Many hesitate, thinking they need to be more prepared, more qualified, or more experienced. But God does not call the prepared, He prepares the called. You do not need permission from anyone to step into your purpose. Too many people spend their lives waiting for approval, for validation, for someone else to confirm what they already know in their hearts. But the chosen ones do not wait for permission. They move in faith, knowing that when God calls them, He has already made the way. Imagine what could happen if you embraced your calling fully. Imagine a life where you no longer second-guess your potential, where you walk with confidence, where you step forward without fear. That life is not just possible, it is what God has designed for you. The only thing standing between you and your divine destiny is your willingness to believe that you were created for more. The world will always try to convince you that you are not enough. The enemy will whisper lies, telling you that you are not worthy, that you are not capable, that you do not have what it takes. But none of that is true. God has already spoken over your life. He has already declared victory over you. The only thing left is for you to align yourself with His truth and step forward boldly. You are being positioned for something greater than you can imagine. This is not the time to shrink back. It is not the time to second-guess yourself or wonder if you are ready. You have already been prepared. You have already been strengthened. The only thing left is for you to rise up and walk in the identity that God has given you. You are chosen. You are set apart. And the time to step into that calling is now. This moment right now is an invitation. It is a divine appointment, a call to action. You have spent enough time questioning, enough time hesitating, enough time doubting yourself. God is not asking you to have all the answers. He is not expecting you to be perfect. He is simply asking you to say yes, to trust Him, to move forward, and to step into the future He has prepared for you. If you do nothing, time will continue to pass. A year from now, 5 years from now, you will look back at this moment and either see it as the turning point where you stepped into your destiny, or as another opportunity you let slip away. The choice is yours. Will you rise into the person God has created you to be, or will you let fear, doubt, and hesitation keep you from walking in your divine purpose? The world is waiting for you to rise. God's chosen ones are not meant to remain hidden. They are meant to stand boldly in the light, to be a beacon of faith, courage, and divine purpose. Everything in your life has led to this moment, and now the time has come for you to step into the fullness of who you were created to be. The universe is not holding you back. It is waiting for you to act. Every resource, every opportunity, and every open door has been positioned in your favor, but it will not move until you do. You must trust in the power God has placed inside of you. You were not chosen by accident. You were not given a calling only to let it fade into doubt. God has been speaking to you, leading you, and preparing you for this very season. The enemy wants you to believe that you are not ready, that you do not have what it takes, that you will fail, but that is a deception meant to keep you from walking in your destiny. Fear has no place in the life of the chosen. Doubt has no authority over what God has already declared over you. The time to step forward is now. Many hesitate at the threshold of their calling, waiting for absolute certainty before they move. But faith does not require certainty, it requires trust. Abraham stepped out without knowing where he was going. Moses stood before the Red Sea before it parted. Peter walked on water while the storm still raged around him. Every act of faith requires movement before the miracle. If you are waiting for everything to align perfectly before you act, you will be waiting forever. The breakthrough happens when you take the first step. You may not have all the answers, and that is okay. God is not asking you to understand every detail. He is asking you to obey. He is asking you to believe in the vision He has placed within you, to trust that what He has started in you, He will bring to completion. Your purpose is too important to delay. Every moment you wait is a moment lost, an opportunity that could have propelled you further into the divine plan set before you. There will be challenges. There will be moments when the journey feels difficult, when obstacles arise, when uncertainty tries to creep in. But that is the price of greatness. That is the cost of being one of God's chosen. You were not called to an easy path, you were called to a meaningful one. And the reward that awaits you is beyond what you can imagine. The fulfillment of knowing you walked in obedience, the joy of seeing God's promises unfold in your life, the impact of realizing that your decision to act changed not only your destiny, but the lives of those around you. This is your moment. You have been prepared, you have been refined, and now the time has come to step fully into your divine calling. Do not allow fear to rob you of your future. Do not let hesitation steal what God has already set aside for you. This is your confirmation. This is your divine appointment. Step into it with faith, confidence, and the unwavering belief that God has already gone before you. The world is waiting. Rise, take your place, and walk boldly in the purpose God has destined for you.